Hello, my friends. It's Coleraine or Coleraine Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and today I am creating a relationship spread, I guess, but I want to focus on it from Spirit's perspective and from the spiritual guides that assist in any connection or union that is in your life, whether this be a platonic connection, a romantic connection, or even a business connection of some sort. Even family connections are welcome to be asked about and applied to this reading. So I'm going to be reading in a more open or broad perspective and keeping anything open. So for any reading and engaging with a reading, I think it's important to get into an intuitive space. So if you are used to approaching pick a card reading, selecting the pile that you are drawn to, feel free to do so. You probably have already done that by now. But if you are somebody that does enjoy getting into the energy of the reading, getting into the energy of your own intuition beforehand, this is the time to do so. So I would like to invite you to begin taking a couple deep breaths, connecting to your intuition, connecting to how your intuition speaks with you through your body, through your emotions, through your perspective. Calming any energy that is anxious within you, any emotions that hinder your intuitive connection. And I will introduce the piles in case you do not know which one. So here's pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. Now if you're ready, please join me for your reading in your pile, which is time-stamped in the description box. I will see you there. Hello, pile 1. If you selected pile 1, this is your relationship reading, where we are going to dive into Spirit's perspective on this connection, whether this be any variety of connection. It is up to you to decide and interpret the messages that are meant for you, as always. So I want to start to interpret the energy that I'm receiving for this pile, because I am feeling that what's happening right now between your connection with another person, entity, experience, there's some energy of distrust or needing to focus on the trust that is placed between you and the other energy. And so what I was picking up on with this pile is, first of all, there is a rabbit who has joined our reading as I began your reading. I also had a false start to filming this pile. So I began to start channeling and then realized that I hadn't started the reading. And so I feel like there's an energy of false starts that's happened, where something hasn't picked up as quickly as you've expected it to. For need to look at the finer details. I picked up on Virgo energy very heavily in this pile. That may be an energy that's impacting you from like Mercury energy in general, or it's something that you or the other, if it's another person, has heavily aspected or is a significant energy within yours or their life. It may just be that the energy of Virgo applies heavily. So let's say this is a job situation. Virgo energy applies to this because this may be something that is of service, or you are new to something. Virgo being the virgin energy, but it's something that's meticulous, that gives, that looks for, punctuality, details, that kind of energy. And so That's something that's kind of crowning this situation, and I feel is important for me to bring up and highlight. The rabbit being present for this reading, and something that I'm seeing right now is you may have to sacrifice in some sense right now during this period of figuring out what's going on in this situation. And I also saw a butterfly, so there's a strong energy of transformation and understanding like higher purpose to the situation. And that's something that's slowly being revealed to you at this point. And so your confusion is valid because it's important for you to start asking those questions. So I have this reading set up very specifically today so that I can look at using the Oriens Animal Tarot, the perspective of the spirit guides in this situation on like how they view themselves or how they show up. So that's going to be these cards right here. And then the Blood Moon Tarot is signifying the people or physical manifestations of the energy in each side. So apply it as you will. But okay. So I'm actually just going to flip everything over. Down here is going to be the explanation of a creative solution to any issue. And up here in this oracle card, which is from the Isis Oracle, this is describing the spiritual truth or purpose of a situation in this moment. So I'm going to start by looking at the questioned side. So I'm calling this the question side because this is the situation, person, energy that is in question, that we are looking at what their spirit guides think of you, or what their spirit guides are involved with in this situation. And coming through is the Knight of Pentacles in the reverse. I'm seeing this reversed energy on both sides as being something that's almost hidden from you. So where you may be somebody, again with that Virgo energy, who can be quite a detective, someone who's thorough, does all their background checks, everything, this person, entity, experience, situation may have things that feel hidden to you because they must unfold over time. With this bee also coming up, I was seeing bees around me and I wasn't sure if they were being drawn to my attention just because they're in the environment or if they were part of the reading. But this is a confirmation that this actually represents the spirit guides of the situation or the person they are asking about. Bees may represent hard work, connectivity, community, collective thoughts and ideas coming together. So you working in collaboration with this experience or this person is really important for you to connect with the situation spiritually. The Magician here, representing the physical manifestations of this energy that you're in contact with, show again this energy of collaboration with all these hands. And as I'm saying this, there are so many outside noises that are coming through. I'm not quite sure if you can hear them, but again, a lot of things working together and maybe vying for your attention. Because it's quite distracting, it's quite chaotic, and usually I would pause if there's this much noise about during a reading, but I feel like it's important to show you kind of how much information is being put at you from all different sides. And it almost seems like this, if this is a person, they have a manipulative aspect to them that sometimes requires you to be a bit more strong and a bit more empowered within yourself. Also with this card showing the two people very interdependent upon one another, connected physically, there may be some issues of codependency or value and ability to assert and establish individuality that's being called into question for you as an individual through this situation, regardless of if it's with a person or if this is an environment or something. And so on your side over here, seeing the querent side, Queen of Songs represents you in the physical. And so this is somebody who is highly empathic, maybe a bit more withdrawn. You may not be somebody that's overly social, but you pick up on quite a bit of information from others emotionally and spiritually and physically, even psychically as well. So I'm seeing you as somebody that's quite intelligent, thorough, and empathic. The wind is picking up as I'm saying this too, which reminds me that maybe this is something that you're not always excited about, or you don't always feel like it's a gift. And I feel like the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you emote and experience your feelings is something that sometimes almost feels like it runs your emotional world and what you see physically manifest around you. Whereas this person being described as the magician, they're using all different elemental experiences, such as the aspects of mind, intellect, questioning, air, physical action, circumstance, growth, earth, emotional, psychic, spiritual, water, and then that more impulse driven, action based, spirit into form, animated experience of fire. This person has a bit more of a well-rounded method of person or entity, has a bit more of a well-rounded method of exerting their force, but sometimes may not be understood completely by you, showing up in this reverse position. And so for you, you're understanding yourself a lot more, and maybe sometimes that can be an inhibitor to moving this connection forward in a way that you see yourself empowered within, because you are viewing things through the lens of your emotions, and sometimes that can be imbalanced. Does that make sense? And I hope it does. I don't want to disempower you in any way, because our emotions are so important and they are spiritual messengers for us. But only seeing things through that perspective can keep us stuck and hold us back from using those other abilities and talents that we have available to us when we see ourselves as only like one-dimensionally experienced. If this is a work perspective, it may be that your emotions, you're not being able to address them in a way that feels comfortable for you, and so you may feel that you're only receiving intuitive insight and not being able to take the action on that, especially since your spirit guides are coming through as the Four of Swords here, which is the sloth. They're hanging back and letting you experience these emotional and intuitive impulses that arise from within in order to learn how to interpret and use your intuition better in a situation, engage what is needed and what kind of healing steps need to be taken. Some of you are healers and meant to do spiritual work through whatever kind of career or relationships you experience in this life, and a lot of your relationships are quite spiritual. And so in order to be able to address and handle the depth and level of those connections in the future, what you're being prepared for right now is a sense of autonomy and individuality, and that's coming through quite strong. So I want to look at the connection in general and like what spiritually is going on between these two sides at this moment. This is Miracle of Isis. Isis offers a miracle healing. No matter how much you've struggled with a particular matter, no matter how impossible it may seem to imagine your life without this old wound, addiction, problem, relationship issue, or inner struggle being part of it, you are guided now to accept the possibility of miraculous healing. Let go and let the goddess be. So, I got chills after I finished reading this card, because again, it's like these things are very interconnected with one another, and what's happening right now for you is not an invitation where Spirit's saying you need to do this, I'm going to answer your question, and act in a almost like a patriarchal way, or even in a misguided leadership or hierarchical way. I don't even want to put in like a gendered aspect to it. I just want to convey that Spirit wants you to be able to make your decisions. And so that's why I think that the spirit guides that are assisting in this situation have much more of an ability to relay synchronicity to you as someone who is engaging from an outside perspective, and how they see you as somebody who has a strong emotional and spiritual and psychic potential to relay this love and condition of spirit into a situation. But what's happening right now is your ability to make the choice and have the insight and the vision to be able to connect with it in a way that spirit needs you to. And so this healing that's happening is something that, do you see how both of these figures are turned towards you as the querent, and you're even turned away a little bit? What's happening right now is an opportunity for you to go within and find what you need through this situation and through your own perspective and observations of a situation and feelings within a situation. I think what stood out to me while I read this card is that even though there may be things that feel impossible or feel confusing or feel like you're tied to them, almost in like a devil card energy, you're allowed to step away from the feeling of stuckness, of being required to hold fast to the situation, and view it as something that maybe isn't limiting you, but is actually opening you up to being able to address something that has gone unaddressed for too long in your life. Does that make sense? And I think that's why that rabbit energy is coming forward, because I saw it come out again. It had hidden for a little while and it came out and it just ran away, actually, like bolted. And I feel like that rabbit is showing that you have the quickness and the ability to sense danger or destruction, and you don't need to be so paranoid about a situation. Spirit invites you to not feel paranoid and to allow yourself to approach your new situation from a place of understanding that you're still healing and not feeling like you have to be so uncomfortable with your own sensitivity because of what you've gone through. At the bottom here with this card, Vincent van Gogh is the artist that's highlighted in the card. And so this card, representing a way to creatively approach this situation in the future, says, if committed, stay committed. Posthumous recognition requires a paper trail. Use the daylight to face the night. First of all, Spirit's inviting you to write down how you feel in this moment, in the perspective that you're in the circumstance, in the situation, exactly as things are. Do not censor your emotions. Because if you don't censor your emotions, you're going to be able to look at this in, let's say, a week or 2 weeks when you may have a bit more clarity and less of that emotional muck clouding your vision, and you're going to see what emotional experience was happening for you at this exact moment whenever you are viewing this reading. Secondly, if this is a relationship, your commitment is something that's being tested right now in a way of, do I feel like a commitment is a mutual decision between me and this person, or is this a dependency? And that's a strong question to ask yourself in this situation. If you are committed to, resolving an issue with another person or resolving an issue within yourself spiritually, are you committed to the actions and the thoughts and the continuous effort that it takes? I think that true love is something that we do commit to, but if we are unable to truly commit to ourselves and truly love ourselves within something, the commitment to the other is something that is superficial. Does that make sense? Whether that be through a job and how it fulfills us, a relationship and how that fulfills us, a friendship, how that fulfills us. Does that make sense? Thirdly, use the daylight to face the night. This is saying that what you do during your day will allow you to address those like subconscious or I don't know how to describe it, because when we have that experience of the night, sometimes we have a deeper connection to ourselves, like in that nighttime experience, and like our bad behaviors come out, or our deeper thoughts can come out in the nighttime. I don't know if I'm describing this properly, but it's saying like your day-to-day mundane things that you don't think of as work on this experience are actually essential actions, thoughts, investments within the forward movement of whatever this situation is. And that's why I feel like that Virgo energy is so important, because it recognizes that work takes step by step by step, and even a step backwards sometimes, a step forwards. Wherever you're moving, it doesn't matter. Movement is the importance. Does that make sense? So I believe that I'm finished with your reading, pile 1. If you felt that this was helpful, I appreciate, tips or comments, likes, anything like that, to allow me to understand some feedback and how this landed with you. Otherwise, I am sending you so much love, so much support, and so much abundance and blessing your way today. I love you, pile 1, and I will see you in another video. Bye. Hello, pile 2. If you selected pile 2, this is your relationship connection reading. I'm tentatively calling it that because I want this to be open to whatever situation you have decided to analyze right now through a spiritual perspective. So we're looking at the perspective of spirit guides who are assisting on the other side of this connection. So not your personal experience, but whatever your external reality connection of the experiences, and I hope that makes sense. So I have cards designated to be in a certain position for a spread today, and so this side is going to be the questioned side. So if you're asking about a person, a situation, an environment, something like that outside of yourself, that's going to be this side. And then this is the querent side, so this is you as the person coming to the reading. And again, remember that this is a general reading, so take what resonates, and also understand that I am translating through my perspective and my experience as the embodied person that I am. So please understand that it is up to you to interpret in a way that makes sense for you in your situation. Anyway, we're going to look first at these cards. So this card from this deck on each side, I'll pull them both out. These ones are from the Oriens Animal Tarot, and these are going to describe the spirit guides in the situation and how they are presenting themselves and manifesting. Interesting, 2 reversed energies here. And then these cards here from the Blood Moon Tarot are representing the physical embodied manifestations of the energy. So this is going to obviously represent you and your energy at this moment and how it's manifesting like as your individual self, and then this is going to represent the person, situation, experience that is on the other side that you were asking about. Interesting. I like that signifier cards came forward for both. I'm not going to touch the oracle cards until later in your reading because I feel like I do need to start translating what's going on. So I have a strong ache in my chest. It's almost like a nostalgia feeling. I don't know if this is you and like your entire family for some of you, or like a larger group of people, or someone that means quite a bit to you. So for a lot of you, I do feel like this is talking about an intimate connection. This is not going to be like, this is not the reading about somebody that's an acquaintance. If I'm just gonna like lay it out there bluntly. If you're looking for something that's more distanced from you, I would go to a different pile. Because this is, again, with this imagery from the Isis Oracle that's describing the spiritual connection between these two sides and the spiritual purpose of the connection, this is an intimate drawing in. And I feel like a lot of you actually may have some avoidant emotional behaviors or beliefs or dispositions or demeanors because it may be hard for you to feel like good is meant for you. And this is actually something I've had come up in my own life recently, is like sometimes we cheat ourselves out of feeling positive emotions when we've been healing spiritually and emotionally for a while, or we've been through a lot of trauma, or our world has been very trauma focused and trauma centered for a while. It's hard for us to sometimes accept that we're deserving of abundance and joy, and that this world, when it does offer us comfort, it's hard to accept that sometimes, especially if we see other people who have it worse. And this can be like a toxic positivity kind of thing, but I feel like it's really hard to avoid, especially since the beginning of 2020 with the pandemic. This is a very social influence thing, and it's a paradigm shift that you're kind of working through in a collective sense. And I applaud you for doing this work. It's not easy to sometimes recognize that, yes, while we have certain privileges and certain intersections that we can hold, and things that we experience as our like socially defined individuality, there are also these very intimate individual things that we need to acknowledge when they do affect us emotionally and in that everyday sense of like experiencing our own lives, because they are very personal, and we're allowed to want to experience a personal life that is fulfilling and aligned with who we know we are and what we've come here to experience, while still acknowledging the greater like pains and traumas that are perpetuated on a larger, grander scale. And so for some of you, these like broader social structures and broader spiritual lessons are bleeding into your personal life. And I think that's why I went off on that tangent, because the Knight of Honey, representing the questioned or the person, environment, situation that you're asking about, represents someone who feels like a gift to you. And I feel like this is an extremely emotional connection. I feel like crying right now because the emotion is so strong. I'm just channeling this deep respect, love, admiration for whoever or whatever is involved. The spirit guides of this person or environment or group or whomever you're asking about look at you with the deepest admiration for how you face the harder experiences in this life. And they're coming through in a way that is giving me full body chills right now, because they see your warrior spirit. They see how you don't back down to the difficulties, and you have so much compassion and such a big heart for everything that everyone is going through. Even if you don't acknowledge it or you don't speak it out, the look that you give people in your eyes tells them that you understand, or you're trying to understand, or you want to make their situation better. And even if you're not doing huge, grandiose gestures, you're doing little tiny things every day to make others' lives better. And those spirit guides coming through as the moon, even though it's in the reversed position, I feel that this is something that is representing that it's not a traditional or a Rider-Waite-Coleman-Smith interpretation of the moon tarot card. This is a representation of the beauty, the harmony, the awe, the mystery of spirit, and how we experience timeless spiritual energies in this incarnation and in this human form. And so the spirit guides of this person or this group or this environment are coming through as quite ancient and natural and powerful. The wind picked up quite a bit, like the most that I think it has in this entire reading session today. And I feel that this, if this is a person the moon and the rabbit is a really important guide. It's really interesting because there are synchronicities between some of these piles from what I've seen of the cards so far. But the idea of legends, of myths, of narratives and ideas that are perpetuated, and stories that maybe are told around this thing from your perspective are being highlighted as well. So how you see the situation, and myths and ideas and these more like long drawn out beyond this lifetime experiences that you've attributed to this person, experience, grouping, are important for how you look at this situation. And their guides want to remind you of that because they're self-defining as the moon, as this timeless and almost omniscient kind of perspective. On your side, your guides are being defined as this manta ray with the 5 of swords in the reverse. And I feel like, again, there's an ancient quality to the spirit guides that are coming through and being defined for you. I feel like you have really difficult situations that you've had to walk away from in your past. Things that almost feel like they litter your energy. It's like every turn you make, there's a trigger for you. And your guides are there to help you, like the other guide wanted to speak for, help you sharpen those skills, especially mental and communicative skills between you and others. If you repeat a story in the same way, let's say you victimize yourself in a certain past situation over and over, you're writing into your DNA, into your bodily experience, and also into the mind and heart of the other person or situation that is receiving that is the truth. And so your guides are coming through right now as truth bearers to shed light on situations for you, to take you out of the powerless perspective. And you coming through here in this physical form of energy as the Hierophant is showing that you're doing their research, but also I feel like in a new sense, putting out creative output that is more intentional, to go with what you want to see paved in front of you. And so you're being very intentional and actually pulling out quite a bit of courage that I feel you may have not had in the past, to see your life in a different way and to see your path moving on a certain trajectory that you're more conscious about. This is a really beautiful energy, pile 2. I want to read what's going on spiritually in this situation. So we have 2 cards, Portal of Light and Knot of Isis. So Portal of Light is the one that was on the front, and Knot of Isis is this one. And so I'm only going to read a couple phrases from each card, so I'm not reading to you for so long, but I want you to understand the basis of what's going on in this connection on like a more spiritual level, or like on the other side of things. It is only this physical reality that is bound by time and space. You are a conscious being on levels beyond the physical world. You are guided to work with your healing powers beyond the confines of time and space. You will not become ungrounded through such spiritual work. You are not leaving your earthly connection behind. You are merely adding to it. Okay, I am going to read the entirety of both cards because I feel that they're needed. Part of your spiritual destiny involves a special relationship with the goddess. This means that not only do you have the important spiritual task of helping her thrive in this world, but you are afforded her power, protection, and abundance too. You are now deepening your connection to the goddess. Okay, so while the second card, if you don't work with Isis or Aset, that's all right. I feel like that represents the experience of femininity, and especially like different experiences of how we look at gender in general, but especially those like more traditionally ascribed experiences of femininity within this world. You have a unique relationship to it, and even your own feminine aspects, which means, you know, those jobs or ideas or even natural elements that we call feminine, such as elements that are of earth and water are sometimes ascribed to the feminine, whereas fire and air are sometimes ascribed to the masculine. You're somebody that works maybe more with those themes of intuition, spirituality, culture, society, care, growing. What else is maybe ascribed to those? I can't think of any more, but I think you understand the path that I'm trying to go down with that. And this connection itself is letting you touch those parts and those seeds and nurture and bring forth that life within you that is connected to those themes. This Portal of Light card, I feel like, was so spot on, because when I was talking about you being connected to collective experiences, these are things that I feel you draw on from past lifetimes as well. And this person definitely, if it's a person or a group of people or a job or, you know, however it resonates, is connected to you from those past lives, and it's something that you potentially have more of a destined, like fated tie to, in a positive way, in a way that empowers you and pushes you into your purpose in this life. And so this portal of light is something that, while you may have been in the darkness or felt like you were in what we might call the darkness, where we have to focus less on what we see and more on what we feel, you're being able to step into a space where things are going to make a lot more sense to you, very consciously. And so that's why you're preparing yourself by looking at how you can create and co-create. And while this other thing is kind of being shown with this wheel, it's helping to give you direction and guidance on how that physical or that more embodied manifestation of that experience is showing up and continues to show up over time. This is definitely a gift, and the guides that are coming through want to reiterate that this is something that you are given as a beautiful opportunity to move forward. Let's look at the final card, which is from the Art Oracles. And this is representing a creative solution or a creative approach to this situation moving forward. And the artist here is Francisco Goya, and you may know this artist from the painting, what is it called? It's something about Saturn. I'll put it in the description box when I can find it, but it's like the man eating, it's like a creature eating a man. You'll recognize it if you are interested in it. I'll link an image of the painting below. But he actually painted those within his own house. So again, very intimate form of art. And it's only something that was discovered after he passed on. And so there's something about what you do that may not be recognized while you're here, and you may know that, but it's something that you're starting to leave a legacy for. And so even if this is a relationship, the relationship that you have with this person is going to leave a legacy for others to model, almost like really unconditional love. Or, you know, if you're breaking trauma patterns or something, people are going to look to the way that you connect with whatever this other thing is or other person is, for kind of a blueprint. But it says, in case of emergency, locate your nearest exile. A good caricature is no exaggeration. Truth takes shape in the shadows. What was I just saying about that, like, shadow or dark energy kind of forming your ability to feel and perceive and understand. And so as you enter into this more light experience of the relationship itself, because I do feel like it's transforming on some level, especially in a spiritual sense, you're going to start seeing the ways in which you try and self-sabotage, or you attract things around you to help you to distract yourself from a situation that's good for you, or being able to accept a blessing. And here, a good caricature is no exaggeration, shows that somebody who can be lighthearted with you, or a situation that can be lighthearted with you and point out both flaws and perfections within you, is something that's going to give you a well-rounded perspective of yourself. And so just finding that well-grounded, honest reflections of a situation, such as potentially, if this reading has resonated, like a good grounded look at something, I feel like it's really important for you to do continuously. You may be somebody who needs quite a few affirmations about something. Even if you already consciously know something and you have all the evidence in the world for it, you may need that affirmation that is continuous, that comes through over and over. And those affirmations have to come from within to feel honest. And so reminding yourself of how you want to create the situation again with the Hierophant, to create your own tradition, to create something that's more long lasting. So that's all I'm seeing for you, pile 2. If this reading resonated, you can find a way to tip me or leave me an energetic exchange or an energetic affirmation of how this reading connected with you by liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment below. I will have all of my personal information in the description box as usual. Otherwise, I'm sending you so much love, and I'm so blessed and thankful to you and the guides that came forward for this reading today. I will see you in another reading, my friend. Bye. Hello, pile 3. If you selected pile 3, this is your reading. So, as I tap into your energy, you have quite a lighthearted and curious, exploratory energy. You may have been doing some connection with your inner child recently, offering non-judgment to yourself and others, and potentially seeing a lot of success that's like physically manifesting for you in a very material way, or it's very visible to you how your success is manifesting at this moment. I apologize for any distractions that happen around the visuals with wind disrupting the stability of the camera today. So I just want to, lay that disclaimer out there. But with no further ado, I will give you my second disclaimer. So again, this is a general reading, and this is something that is filtered through my perspective as a reader, and is something that should be noted as you engage with this as a viewer. It is important for you to be in touch with your own intuition and how your intuition speaks for you, and how your guides want to translate, or how your own individual self, however you want to see it, wants to translate this reading for your life. And so let's get on with the reading now. So I have the cards kind of designated today in a spread fashion to represent certain energies, ideas, and experiences. And so on this side is going to represent the questioned. This side is the querent. So the questioned represents whoever or whatever you are asking about right now. And the querent is another word for seeker, and represents you coming to the reading. And so I'm going to show you the cards. I have them designated. I'm using the Oriens Animal Tarot for the representation of the spirit guides who are assisting in the reading and assisting in the situation. And the Blood Moon Tarot is representing you as a physical manifestation on this side, and like who you show up as in this situation. And on this side representing the questioned or the other party involved, whether this be a person, an environment, or a situation. So I'm going to flip these over and we're going to take a look. It's interesting that your energy has such a light-hearted, observational, curious energy, and it's showing up in this very mature card as the King of Dreams. And so again, with that success energy that came through as well, there's something about you being very able to translate physical into non-physical and non-physical into physical. So for example, what I'm doing right now as I'm speaking to you is translating sensations, feelings, associations that are happening within my own mind space, within a very non-physical, non-measurable experience, into a very physical manifestation through sound waves, verbally, right? And that's what's happening energetic-wise in the rest of your reality, you showing up as the King of Dreams. And so you may have actually been doing dream work as well, or some kind of translation. Again, that word is coming through. So you are turning something that exists in one form into another form, but I'm seeing that as being a more tangible form for some reason. This may also be other people around you picking up on the frequency or the energy of things that you have done or thought or said, and then they're translating it for you. So for example, if you're asking about a work situation, for example, if you're asking about a work situation, your boss or someone above you, especially since they're showing up as the Five of Songs, may be behaving in a way that mimics or mirrors an experience that you had with a parent figure when you were younger, because I did pick up on that child energy as well. There's something about you having to approach a situation that has a similar energetic frequency to past or previous energetic experiences, and approach it with more maturity, again, with this king representing you, and being in the suit of mind, non-physical influence frequency, right? And this other person, experience, entity being in the suit of songs, emotions, again, connection to the frequency as well, as songs exist in the realm of frequency. This instrument is broken, and so there's someone or something in your life that isn't functioning properly or functioning in a way that's to its full potential, and this is whatever person, experience that you've asked about. It's not to say that this won't be able to function more properly or in a way that's more aligned in the future. And it's interesting that train horn keeps happening during your reading, because it didn't happen during other readings all that often. And so there's something about this that needs to move forward. And I have that, phrase of like the train conductor, all aboard. If you're coming, get on right now, get on the train before it leaves the station, right? And so either this person, this situation, this group, whomever you're asking about, is not getting on board with whatever you're trying to create, especially with this dreams. I'm seeing it as a literal interpretation of dreams, goals, objectives, pathways, things that you want to see experienced in your future. The star here representing the guides that are coming through, that we're asking about, how do they see you, or how do they see the situation, being the star in the reverse with the jellyfish. Jellyfish completely rely on the tangible impulses turned into energetic frequencies, because they don't have a brain. They only have a neural net of a nervous system. So imagine if you didn't have the ability to understand why something happened, but you could only understand that it did happen. And I feel like this person's guides, or this group's guides, or whatever you're connected to, they work in a similar way by giving little openings or understandings of how interconnected things are. And so if this person, for example, if you're dealing with a person, which I feel like a lot of you are asking about a specific person, has an addictive behavior or has a toxic relationship, if this is a friend, or even if this is a, you know, romantic interest and they have other people around them that are, you know, in a toxic connection in some way, that relates to other emotional experiences or spiritual beliefs, or, you know, ways that they treat their body, how they, you know, take in nutrients or information even. And so everything is connected and is a guide in some sense with this star energy. And so they're kind of giving you an insight into how much work that the spirit guides and the energy that surrounds this other thing has to do to keep this person energy system afloat. Does that make sense? And on your side, your guides come through as the Eight of Cups reversed. Again, the wind just being very present in your reading. Your guides are much more focused on your emotional system in a much less involved way. They're getting you to see the truth of situations and recognize where you need to put your focus. Especially if you're experiencing like cycles or karmic conditions that come up over and over and over. I'm seeing the 8 here, the numerology of the card being really important because this is 17, 8, 8. And so you're mirroring, especially with the 8 being a physically mirrored number. There's something here where, let's say this person doesn't see, if it's a person or maybe even a work situation, they don't see their own dysfunction. If this side doesn't recognize its own dysfunction and you do, maybe seeing how that dysfunction potentially plays into the net or the web of your own life. And that's why you're being forced to potentially go within and use your third eye or your spiritual eyes to see or sense a situation rather than what's physically manifesting for you. Because things could be physically very successful for you, like I mentioned at the beginning of this reading. But what is the feeling? What is the spiritual calling? What is your heart being laid, like what is being laid upon your heart in this situation? Because I feel like right now you've been very much up in the head, and the guides want to remind you that your brain isn't the only thing that gives you that perspective on something. That like physical nervous system is really important indicator of what's actually going on for you. And here even there are 2 ocean creatures, a very fluid feeling to this situation. So I'm curious. I want to move on to what's going on here with these cards from the Isis Oracle that are describing on a higher spiritual perspective or like a divine perspective, what is this connection? We have Talismans of Potency and the Dark Mysteries. I'll describe to you what this card's meaning. This is the front of it. Talismans are something that are used to ward off energy, whereas an amulet is something that pulls towards you. And so sending away energies, making energetic protections and barriers within your own experience to help you to understand what your energy is trying to tell you is going to be important. So that may be saying no when you don't want to go to an event, for example, or if somebody asks you a question, saying, I'm not comfortable answering that question right now, or giving an answer that's a bit more broad or vague than what may be specifically being looked for, to preserve the vulnerability, or not vulnerability, the delicacy of the energy that you're cultivating. Not everybody needs to know everything just because they know what questions to ask, if that makes sense. So giving people access to things when the time is right, or giving yourself the ability to protect your energy, and use tools that, you know, work with what you're trying to do. So you wouldn't try and use a wrench to unscrew a screw from a hole. You know, you'd want to use the screwdriver because it fits. So I think that's what's being highlighted here. And the Dark Mysteries card, which has this on the front, I'm going to read to you. So the Dark Mysteries card says, the Dark Goddess calls you to her inner chamber, where she holds a test and a gift for you. The test is your willingness to meet and release the fears that that have been secretly holding you back. The gift is freedom, peace, opportunity, and prosperity in all its forms. Will you accept her call? Your time for deeper initiation is here. And so these cards are really important because they both show a portrait, and they actually show this similar like Ra symbol, Ra being the sun god, of illumination, of looking at something with a conscious mind and a conscious heart. And so that's the truth of the situation right now, is being able to protect your energy, understand what is going on for you, and also see things with a more clear perspective and an understanding of your identity within the situation as well. And I think also there's another aspect of like playfulness that wants to come through too from within you, because even as I say this, I feel this like a heaviness of your energy coming in compared to the beginning, and I don't want to drag your energy down. That's definitely not my intention, and not the way that I think that this needs to be received. And that's again through my perspective and my opinion as a reader, because I feel that the truth of a situation is only going to be enhanced when we add playfulness to it, and curiosity and exploration, instead of seeing things in a rigid sense of like, oh, well, I have to walk away from this if I recognize that there's something toxic. Oh, well, I have to, you know, do all this hard work to get something done, and it's going to be so hard, and, you know, like going into these kind of negative thought patterns. And I feel like you may have an association where truth equals negative, and that doesn't have to be how it is. Or, you know, there's only one option once you see something illuminated. But I feel like an illumination allows you to see that there are many different opportunities or pathways, especially since the Seven of Cups comes right before the Eight of Cups. I'm drawn to that card because it feels like your spirit guides have already prepared you to see that there are many options or outcomes or, you know, loopholes in a situation as well. So this card here from the Art Oracles is going to give me an insight as a reader into potential creative opportunities, creative approaches to the situation as it is right now. And the artist highlighted is Wasily Kandinsky. I think I said his name incorrectly, the first name, so correct me if I'm wrong. But Kandinsky is quite a profound and pronounced artist in the art world, historically, at least the, you know, white art world. But Kandinsky did things differently and saw things differently, especially at a time where a lot of people weren't trying to view things in the same way. And so the advice here is transcend systems to find spirit. Hear music through sight. Begin with a dot. Was it your pile that I was saying something about translation? Yes, I really think it was. So this is affirming it. Translate things. Put things into different perspectives. If I was a dog, how would I see this situation? If I was a river flowing through a mountain, and this person was the mountain, or this situation was the mountain, how would it make me feel? Like these kind of ways of asking and embodying and putting yourself into a different perspective so you can be more objective about it. The King of Swords, or the King of Dreams, the King of Air, is that ability to view things in a new way. And so using your perspective to your advantage right now is going to be something that helps you to find the spirit in the situation. Begin with a dot. So something that is so simple right now can expand into something that is so much different over time. Right now you may only be able to see a portion of the picture, and I feel like a lot of you are quite in the beginning stages of whatever you're asking about with this, even though it doesn't seem like you're in the beginning of it. There's something that still needs to emerge that you need to have patience for. And I feel like Spirit is inviting you to be more creative with it, even though this is supposed to be the creative perspective on it. Like, take that very literally. Draw, write, even make ceramics about it. Like, do something that you haven't done to try and translate how you feel. And I feel like that's going to be really influential to you, to see without seeing with your eyes, if that makes sense. So, pile 3, it was such an honor to read for you today. I want to thank your guides, my guides, every other force in the universe that came together to assist in this reading. I want to send you so much love. If this reading did resonate and assisted you in some way, I appreciate tips or energetic tips by means of subscribing, liking, or commenting on the video as well. Whatever you can do supports me and helps me to feel loved. So I'm so grateful. I love you, pile 3. I will see you in another video. Bye, friend.